back to the channel, everyone. As promised, deep dive into the Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform, the latest contender to challenge Palantir for world domination. Am I worried? Spoiler alert, no. And you're about to find out why. But this man right here can sell, and he can execute. So you should not take this lying down, people. All right, here we go. Deep dive into the IDP. So let's dive into the Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform. First thing you should realize is I don't believe this is in general availability. There's no link to pricing or trying the product, which is common to have up here for their other products. So I'm not exactly sure what the status of the product is. As you kind of dive into it, you start to realize that it's really a conglomeration of all of these existing services that Microsoft offers. So it's not necessarily like a new product, it's a orchestration engine for other products. So just understand that. It's three kind of things. It has three main components. It really is data sources that they combine so that you can easily access them in analytics engines like Power BI or Synapse, which is like their sort of data pipeline, big data engine. And then there's some machine learning capabilities. They do have pretty decent machine learning tools on Azure already. And then Purview is really the crux of their data governance engine. We'll get into Purview in a minute. It's not anything close to what Foundry's data governance offers. But so these are the main components of the system. So the first thing that jumped out at me is like they really sell the capabilities to connect to hot data sources. But that is not where the majority of the organization's data is. The vast majority of the organization's data, first off, is unstructured. Second off is going to be like semi-structured data like JSON or CSV files. And then Parquet, like structured files like Parquet. And then finally, like the really small 10% sliver might be sitting in a relational database somewhere. And you can refer to Gartner research on this as well. That will break down those same things. But it does offer through Purview the ability to pull in some of these other sources and be able to analyze them. And so that was what was most interesting to me, because I was like, well, I wonder how they compare to Foundry related to that. And I went through here and I was trying to find their documentation, and I believe I found where they list their supported sources, right? And let's see, where was the list here? It's somewhere in here. Maybe it was this tab before I went into the regex classifier. I can't remember. Supported data sources and file types. Oh, duh, I'm skimming right by it. All right, here we go. Sorry about that, everyone. These are a ton of Azure sources, whatever. Those are just, hot data sources and Azure storage. Okay, we expect you would support that. Amazon RDS, which would be like relational databases, Cassandra, DB2. And you read through here and you go, oh, wow, look at all these sources, right? But no, like the vast majority of the data is sitting in some SaaS silo somewhere. So like Salesforce or, some other tool that the company is using. Like right now, we have over 200 SaaS products that are like Amplitude for product they use to look at user behaviors and whatnot. And we have Grafana for like all this other data that's being pulled out of BigQuery, which they do support BigQuery, which is cool. And then tons of log metrics, and there's just a gazillion SaaS services that fall under this umbrella. And so I was like, oh man, like they're missing a ton of stuff that Foundry is supporting, which is totally required. And let's just go ahead and take a look at the supported data sources in Foundry. I'm trying to find the link to the file. Let's see here. Frontier, was it this one? Was it this one? Yeah. So sources, they support everything that basically Azure would support, but they also include a ton more, right? So like, and where it really gets interesting is under streaming. These are super important to support for anything that is going to be an analytics tool. But I mean, just look at also the additional sources that Foundry supports, and these are actually really important. Redis, yeah, definitely. But the ones where it gets really interesting are things like supporting Jira, right, and GitHub, and Asana, Artifactory, PagerDuty, right? ServiceNow, Slack, dude, like they got it right? Like those are super important engine or super important SaaS products where the majority of the fucking data is sitting, right? And they also have generic REST API support. This is what I used in Foundry for gaming. I built my own API. So there are tons of just generic APIs you have to be able to safely ingest data from. And that is far more valuable than, like, I mean, it's not far more valuable. It's going to be far more numerous than all those other data sources. That's where the majority of the organization's data is. And then, yeah, I mean, you got HubSpot, obviously, and here's Salesforce, right? So comparing that back to Azure, like you start to realize, like, oh, yeah, it's a lot of sources. It looks like a lot of sources, but in terms of, and they do support Salesforce, right? So in terms of like head-to-head comparison, there's a lot of other SaaS products that are widely popular that Foundry supports out of box, along with a whole other much more expanded list of data sources. So like that was the first thing that sort of jumped out at me. Like, oh, Palantir's got this covered in terms of like the amount of data sources they support, and then you have to also go through the fine print, because it's varying degrees of support in Azure, right? And not all of these support things like classification or lineage or anything like that, right? So like, whereas in Foundry, everything I've worked with supports all the features, including data lineage. But how do they do that, right? Like, and what I noticed, like in Azure, like with classification especially, because this is what they're saying powers their intelligent data system, it's regex, people. There are 208 existing classifications and for their data sources, and two of them use Bloom filters, and 206 of them, I guess, use regex, right? Anyone who's ever written a regex classifier is going to tell you that that shit can break pretty easily. You need something more intelligent than just a rule, right? To like do software-defined data integration. Well, who does that? Ooh, Palantir does that, right? New article out. You all got to read this. It's highly relevant for what we're talking about right now with Microsoft and their competitive product. Their chief architect breaks down software-defined data integrations in much more detail than they have in the past, talking about how they do their metadata inference, right? Talking about how it can continually learn through this data harmonization feature. Integrated security. So this is how Palantir approaches the problem of software-defined data integrations. It's not using regex, right? So like, please read this article. They have an intelligent system that's been informed by years of doing this that can support way more classifications, way more. It can support entire pipelines. What does that mean? It means like it can go from the source to a modeled graph, right? The modeled knowledge base of the data. Can Microsoft do that? No, it certainly cannot. Not, especially not with regex, right? So like, not in the same universe. When I saw that, I was like, oh, Palantir's 10 years ahead. Microsoft, not only in terms of the data sources, not only in terms of, but also in terms of the software-defined data integration features. This looks like something that was like kind of brute forced together as fast as they could possibly do it. I also watched a video from their product. I think it was their architect that worked on the intelligent data platform, and they spent a lot of time apparently working on this. I'll play this video for you in a moment, but yeah, it looks like they probably spent quite a bit of time getting to here, which also makes me think, well, Palantir's 10 years ahead easily. The other thing that kind of stood out to me is like Power BI, and I guess if you like Power BI, this would be good for you. I don't know, but like it had like having used these tools like Tableau and Power BI, like they're always limited by the amount of data they can analyze. I know that Tableau in the past used to struggle around the billion row count, but also just that interface was super clunky. The graphics were terrible. You can kind of see by this screenshot just looking at it, does that look like a modern, awesome software experience to you? Because it's not, right? So Palantir wrote their entire front end is built in React, and everything is beautiful, responsive. It works on all the datas. It doesn't have the same limitations. They have really perfected They have perfected a way to make really large data sets process really fast as well. So I think that, like, from my perspective, I wasn't really even worried about the analytics features. The machine learning capabilities, maybe. Azure's got some pretty built out auto ML capabilities. But then again, like, Palantir isn't mutually exclusive with that, right? Like, a lot of the models built in other tools like SageMaker and Databricks are first-class citizens in Foundry, so these aren't really mutually exclusive options, in my opinion. So yeah, when I find like there again, there's not a lot to learn about this product, but once you do start digging into it, like in my opinion, the far more numerous data sources that Foundry supports, especially in the SaaS area, is super important with the consolidation of SaaS. We want to see being able to get at that data. I also feel like that you can't even compare software-defined data integrations. I will leave a link to this article. You all should read it so you understand the differences and approaches here. But like, yeah, regex classification is not going to power the future, right? I'm not even worried. 10 years behind, in my opinion. That doesn't mean it's not a threat. Why does it mean it's not a threat? Because Microsoft knows how to execute. Like, dude, if you watch that video from their CEO, like one of the biggest power use cases for a platform like Foundry is analytics and driving A/B testing and product. I told Palantir this, right? So like I went to Palantir and I said, like, one of the killer use cases for Foundry is Foundry for analytics. You need to get rid of Google Analytics. You need to get rid of Heap.io and Amplitude and all these SDKs. If you watched the Foundry for Gaming video that I put out like a month ago, Iman and Daniel and I are talking about all the reasons why Foundry for Analytics is the shit. And but by their CEO coming out and being able to make the case directly to people like me who are struggling with these problems and can see the power that an analytics engine like this could do for their products, and Palantir not making that case is a risk, right? Because Microsoft knows how to execute, man. And if Microsoft, even if this product's inferior, best software doesn't always win, they can more easily acquire their customers than Palantir can. That could be a pretty big hit, especially in the SMB space, right? So it doesn't mean it's not a threat, even though it's 10 years behind. But if I were building the future, I would build it on Foundry. All right, so here's the case study that's on their website. But the funniest part about this is that it's going to come across like this platform is half baked and they were doing consulting. And so I hope all you bears, Palantir bears out there, hold Microsoft's feet to the fire the way you've been holding Palantir's feet to the fire. But this very much comes across as a consulting gig. So I'm going to play this clip. It's not super informative. They're just talking about how it's helped their customers. But I really do get the sense that this platform isn't ready for prime time, that it's very much a custom integration for a single customer, and that they don't have this thing ready to roll out. And also, like, the amount of integration they're talking about, like, it just sounds atrocious for something that's first party. But anyway, here we go.
Governance in mind. In fact, their latest solution is powered by the Microsoft's Intelligent Data Platform. They've been great partners with us.
It sounds like it. And Rafiq, if I'm not mistaken, at KPMG, you recently launched a new data management services platform. Can you tell us a little bit about the solution?
Sure, Jessica. So KPMG is a global business providing tax, audit, and advisory services. KPMG Digital Gateway is our flagship tech platform for legal and tax services and offers consistent experiences for our clients across the world. Now, it's built on the Microsoft Cloud, just as Rohan said, and it's been in the market for a couple of years now. What we're announcing now is Digital Gateway's Data Factory, which adds global scale data management and analytics capabilities to that platform. So we're making huge investments in this space, and I've worked closely with your product and engineering teams, and I've seen tremendous success in our ability to execute at scale and handle some of the most complex data and analytics challenges. All of this while keeping our clients' data secure on the Microsoft Cloud. Now, as you know, we operate in a very highly regulated space, and being a collection of distinct KPMG member firms operating together makes the tech landscape very challenging. It's funny that just a couple of years back, we were having challenging discussions with our clients about why cloud. Now, more recently, the discussions are why not cloud, or how do we get there quickly, making all of these things a lot more easier for us. So thank you, Microsoft, for helping the industry at large get to this point.
Well, it's been a great partnership. So can you talk a little bit more about how the solution works?
Sure. So Digital Gateway at its core is a collection of microservices, things like task automation, workflow tracking, document collaboration, data collection, analytics, and visualization, and a whole suite of data products. All of these are put together and made accessible through a KPMG user experience layer. Now, these microservices are built by teams, managed by different teams across different parts of the world, and are deployed into multiple cloud regions using an automated pipeline release process. KPMG Tax as a business supports numerous services, and each of these domains have unique data needs. We have so many different operational systems that we've built over the years. And from an analytics standpoint, we are considering a data mesh approach with with secure and integrated platforms that support a repeatable pattern across these different decentralized domains. Now, all of these are built using the modern data warehouse architecture. Now, this is not easy for us. We have a multi-member firm, multi-tenant environment, and inherently that adds a ton of complexity. All of this because our clients and users are logging in using Azure AD B2B. But we work closely with your product teams, your Excel Online team, Power BI, Synapse, Azure machine learning product teams over the years to help improve our ability to operate in a highly regulated environment and with such a complex Azure AD tenant structure. So just as a couple of recent examples, your Synapse team worked with us, and we are now able to have our data ops professional build pipelines and check in code into an Azure DevOps Git repo in a different tenant. That, along with the ability to integrate the Synapse user interface into KPMG's user experience, has tremendously improved the productivity of our analysts and our data ops professionals as well.
And what has the impact been like for this so far?
Huge. So just to give you some context, many of our clients have historically had huge data challenges. They've had to work with multiple ERP systems. They have so many reporting obligations across the world. They have to deal with different languages, different reporting formats, and face an ever-changing regulatory environment. They also have to deal with multiple copies of data on their desktop using tools like Excel and Power BI. But with Digital Gateway, we've integrated Excel online, embedded Power BI and Synapse into our user interface, and this allows all of our analysts and users to have a one-stop shop experience and have a common and easy-to-use interface. So now clients provide data just once, and it's leveraged across all of the applications that we have at global scale. So that's for the end users and analysts. On the other hand, we have our developers and data teams who too have a unified experience using Synapse. And they are now able to operate on data and build data products and operational systems across these various different domains. I can say that looking back after all of these years, we made such a great decision to choose this tech stack, and I've really benefited from all the innovation that's happening at Microsoft. Our customers really trust Azure with their data, and with capabilities that are rolling out, things like VNet integration and private link support for all of your database products, Synapse, machine learning, Power BI, all the way to the accuracy that we get just out of the box with cognitive services, things like Forms Recognizer as an example. And now more recently with the breadth of governance that you have with Purview, gives us all the confidence in the world to maintain the trust of our clients. Powered by the Microsoft Cloud as its core underpinning, we see that KPMG Digital Gateway as a platform is helping drive the growth of our tax and legal businesses, and it's going to continue to do that for the months and years to come as well.
Wow, it's impressive to see how KPMG's Digital Gateway, in partnership with Microsoft's Intelligent Data Platform, has made it easier for KPMG teams to serve customers in a seamless and secure way. Thank you, Rohan, and a special thanks to you, Rafiq, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Why use the Microsoft Intelligent Data Platform? Reasons, I guess? I don't know. You got small data problems? If you want to make data-driven decisions off a small fraction of your data, maybe this platform's for you. 80-90% of your organization's data ain't going to be in there. Yes, you can use Synapse to integrate structured files and semi-structured data formats. Yes, you can do that, but you're going to be on the hook for a lot of that integration that Palantir can just solve for you natively. But you're not going to be able to connect the vast landscape of SaaS products. That's going to be really hard. And so Palantir invested 20 years in supporting all the datas, right? All the datas. Foundry makes the marginal cost of data integration effectively zero through software-defined data integrations. Again, read the article I link in the description from their chief architect. Really illuminating, and it really shows you the depth of this product and just how far out ahead they are. Maybe you got small org problems, right? If you only have a small number of actors who need to make data-driven decisions, maybe this product's for you, because IT is going to continue to be the primary owner of the system and bottleneck, and analysts and data scientists will need to be technical users. This does not democratize decision-making to the masses, maybe in the last mile. Maybe in the last mile it does. But it's not a platform that empowers the entire organization to make data-driven decisions. Sorry. Palantir created low to no-code applications that make the marginal cost of application development effectively zero, right? And it removes the IT bottleneck from the decision-making pipeline. Those who've been watching my channel, you've seen the hourglass of where we're bottlenecking and engineering every time we want to make a data-driven decision. Foundry removes that bottleneck, right? And this product does not. You love being dominated, maybe? I don't know. If you want to be tied to a single cloud provider to run your business, go for it. Yeah, I know that Azure allows you to run their workloads in other clouds by using their solution to do so. Which means you're still tied to them, even though so you can take advantage of additional infrastructure for additional redundancy. It doesn't give you flexibility for your business, right? With Foundry and Apollo, you can run on every cloud provider without being tied to a single one, meaning like with a flip of a switch, I can remove workloads to a cloud provider who's not, doing what I want in terms of pricing and flexibility. And that's powerful. And I don't get an unelected board member who gets to tell me when my business goes offline. That's kind of cool, right? So like, Foundry and Apollo make the influence and importance of a single cloud provider effectively zero. That's pretty fucking awesome in my book, right? So if you want to choose this platform, go for it. There are plenty of people who will, and the reasons they will is because A, Microsoft's really good at selling shit to people. They know how to execute in this space. They also have a rich customer pool for which this service is, in theory at least, already available, right? And Palantir is not. Palantir is an upfront executive enterprise sales process for most people, unless you're lucky enough to get into Foundry for Builders. I don't know the reasons for that, but yeah, so it's still a threat, but in terms of like what I want to use it, I don't have these problems. Maybe you do.